Hey everybody, Rob from Karma Comment Chameleon coming at you with a couple of I Don't Work Here Lady stories. First one, saved by the Karen. Let's jump right in. Wait, did you know that 89% of people who watch these videos aren't even subscribed to the channel? I ask you to hit that subscribe button. We are doing a giveaway at 50,000 subs. Back to our story. So I'm pretty new to the Reddit app and site itself, though I've heard plenty of stories from different YouTubers, so I'm not sure if this is the final home for this story, but it's definitely an I don't work here lady moment with a plot twist at the end. I'm still having trouble believing that this happened, despite the insurmountable evidence that says it did. This story also happened to my wife, which makes it so much scarier for me that I wasn't there when this all went down except at the end. My wife, who we will call Jessica or Jay for dialogue, was shopping at our local Walmart with our daughter, who was 2 months old at this point, getting some stuff for dinner for the week. Let me preface by saying that in no way was she wearing any clothing it said she worked there at Walmart. She was in the spice aisle on a relatively not so busy day, trying to figure out what spices we may be low of at home, when a Karen walked up to her. Now when I say Karen, I pulled up the first Google image of the "Let me speak to your manager haircut" search result, and my wife legit thought it was her at first. That's how Karen-ish she looked. Karen, or Kay as I'll be referring to her as, looked somewhat familiar to my wife as she approached her, but any hopes of trying to figure out who she was immediately dashed the moment she opened her mouth. "Excuse me, I need help getting pancake mix, it's on the top shelf." Looking confused, "I'm sorry ma'am, but I don't work here, and I can't quite help you out either because I'm only a few inches taller than you, so I don't think I could reach it either." Raising her voice, "Don't give me that, I know you work here because I saw you helping an older gentleman a few moments ago." Looking even more confused, "I'm not sure what you're talking about, I haven't talked to anyone except my daughter since I got here." Karen raising her voice even more still, "Don't you dare lie to me, I know I saw you help that guy, and how dare you bring your kid to work, that's so unprofessional of you." Now, what kind of crowd did this confrontation draw, you may ask? Well, potential questioner that may or may not exist, a grand total of one person, a lady, was standing at the end of the aisle watching all this unfold. There were a few people that looked down the aisle, but they continued walking as they did so. This is important. Now, my wife can be a pretty calm person, and she doesn't really like confrontation, but boy does she snap real quick. It was even worse during the pregnancy. I love you, sweetie, if you happen to be reading this. She's well aware of her quick temper and will usually walk away from a situation if her blood starts to boil. Obviously, this was one of those situations. Without saying a word, she turns and grabs the cart, then attempts to leave. Karen, practically screaming at this point, "Hey you bitch, get back over here, I wasn't done talking to you, I want to speak to your manager, I will have your job." This was the last straw for my wife. She turned around and started screaming and cussing at her. She wouldn't tell me exactly what she said, but she felt so bad for some of the words that she chose. Karen looked utterly shocked. Then she suddenly placed her head in her hands and started crying. My wife felt bad for her for a second and was about to apologize when suddenly Karen just took off running past her. When she turned to try and stop her, she watched Karen suddenly run into somebody who was right next to my wife's cart, knocking them both to the floor. It was the same lady that was standing at the end of the aisle watching this as it went down. Karen very quickly shifts gears back to a usual Karen attitude. Karen shrieking, "How dare you assault me? I will have you arrested for this. Someone called the police on this lady." The lady in question looked very concerned and looked like she just wanted to get out of there. She got up and turned to run away, but as she turned around, the manager and a police officer had just appeared behind her. What's going on here? Karen's voice has gone from shrieking eagle to very calm but very serious tone. "You need to take the three of us to the back room right now." "Oh, believe me, we are." When they got back there, apparently everything was revealed. Evidently, the lady that Karen ran into had been stalking my wife throughout the store, and Karen had noticed her strange behavior. She had called the police about her, hence why the officer had been there. After she hung up the phone, it looked like the lady was about to make her move, so Karen decided to try and deter her as well as call a manager over at the same time by acting the way she did. She didn't want my wife walking away right towards the lady, so she did what she could to try to keep her to stay. Unfortunately, wasn't planning for her to completely take her attention off my daughter. During my wife's beratement towards Karen, the creepy lady was making her move, so Karen took action while trying to keep things calm by pretending to accidentally run into her. She also didn't flat out warn my wife because she wanted to try to catch this person straight up, because she knew that if she just scared her away, she might try again with another child. I'm guessing that if push came to shove, Karen would have stuck by my wife's side rather than trying to chase her down if she managed to get out of the aisle. Upon reviewing the security footage, it was confirmed that the lady was indeed following my wife around, and after lying to the police about her identity, they found out that she had a warrant for her arrest for relations in multiple child abduction cases across the state. It was believed that she was the head recruiter for a large human trafficking ring. I was called a few moments later and flew down the highway to meet up with my wife to make sure everything's okay. I personally thanked Karen profusely. I even took her out to dinner as a thank you for looking out for my daughter and wife. I'm sure most of you are wondering if she knows the stigma around the haircut she had, and it did get brought up in conversation. The answer is yes, she knew. She got the haircut just a little before the style got popular on the internet for Karens, but she got too many compliments and thought she looked really cute to change it. I asked if I could post a story on Reddit, and she was more than happy to let me paint her the ugly color that she displayed at first, as long as I gave this message at the end. Keep a close eye on your kids. There are some really messed up people here in this world. It's better to deal with an entitled Karen than it is to face a kidnapper any day. A little obvious, but okay Karen, message sent. Oh, and if you're reading this, please feel free to contact me. I meant to get your contact info at dinner, but it slipped my mind until we got home. And to the readers, if you know of a better place to post this, feel free to let me know. So Karen was only being a Karen as an act to help out OP's wife. Wow, what a crazy turn of events in that story. Great writing, OP. Thank you for sharing the story. On to our next story. Once, twice, 3 times, and I don't work here. Let's jump right in. This is a story for the record books. It happened hours ago, and I'm still trying to process the how and why of it all. I live in a mid-sized city, tourist trap if you will, and I work from my mother's catering business as a pastry chef. I work from home and do not have a uniform, and any other job I've had has one, but nothing close to the Wally market this all started out in. While our central air was being fixed up, my mother and I went to said store in a big shopping center, 9+ stores in a big flipped L shape, with this department of nightmares taking about a third of tip end. I was wearing a white t-shirt with BOTW's side-on in a Rosie the Riveter pose and black leggings with flip-flops. I keep earbuds in on silent as a please don't talk to me method. I'm in the bakery area looking for some nummies when a nice man asks me what cake I think is good for a little girl. I ask what she likes and such and flip through the catalog, but he ends up picking a pre-made one with me pointing him to the party supply aisles. I pick my own goods and follow my mom to meats, then baking supplies, then electronics, then diapers, then to get a kiddie pool before I went to the crafts and sewing department. I sew cosplay and I'm making something for my niece's first con, so I'm kneeled by the 99-cent fabrics when I hear the click of heels. My mistake was looking up. I notice a woman, maybe a bit older, but not close to a decade, I'm 21, wearing short wedge heels and the rest typical early summer attire, including a shirt from the local NBA team that is obviously gift shop, no haircut, but sunglasses on her head and arms already closed, and a face that just screamed, "Don't bother with reasoning, let's call her TK, for Tourist Karen." I return to my search, earphones in and silent, when I feel 2 skeletal fingers tap loud thuds on my shoulder. "Hello?" Removing an earbud. "Yes?" "I need water bottles." Okay, already getting louder. Stop being lazy and show me where they are. Catching on. I don't work here, so no need to yell. Well, that's bull. You helped a man in the bakery just now. Bear in mind, this is over 20 minutes ago, as we were taking our sweet time looking at things in the store. This nut had tracked me down instead of a real freaking employee. So I say what I'm surprised many in this sub haven't. Miss, being a decent person doesn't mean I work here, it just means I was raised right. Well, obviously your mother missed teaching you manners. Behind her like a ninja in the night, did I now? This lady jumps like whatever demon had her captive popped out, looked at my mom bug-eyed for all of 2 seconds. She then pointed at me and huffed. Your daughter was extremely rude to me. She said I was a bad person just for asking for help. Cool as Antarctica. I was on the next aisle over. She told you she didn't work here, and you yelled at her, and she's an adult, so why are you telling me? The Karen turned up her nose and stomped off, which we thought was the end. After we checked out, she appears with a manager, screaming and pointing. Manager just looks at her like the crazy she is, saying the employee that harassed her wasn't even an employee, and if she wanted, they could get the footage. She groans and just goes for the discount rant, which I wish I could have seen the result of, but we left. Think I'm done? Just the beginning, folks. We go to the store next to the Wally Mart, a chain grocery store, to find what we didn't get to in the first store or what we wanted at a cheaper price, coupons, not begging. My mom decided to leave me to my own devices and goes to a different store while I'm picking things out in the freezer section. Right as I'm dumping pizza rolls in my tiny cart, an employee, company logo and massive printout on the black shirt with a blue apron, knocks a few boxes of stuff to the floor. I rush over and help them. It looks like he was scared to be seen making a mistake. As I do that, what do I hear but a loud "Aha!" I turn and I kid you not, I was met with that same displeased face with a worse looking grin. I knew I would find where you worked. Now I can tell your manager you were rude and made a mess. I don't work here either. I'm just helping the poor guy out. Shut up! I'm going to get you fired for being such a bitch and making me look stupid. You did that to yourself. Since I don't work anywhere near either place, just leave me alone. Guy finishing picking up frozen veggie bags. Ma'am, she doesn't work here. I've never seen. You can shut it too, or I'll have your job too. Just then, a manager came down to see what the yelling was for. I think, screw the pizza rolls, we just got mac and cheese and speed walked down 2 aisles and out of the door. Still not the end. I guessed my mom would be in the dollar store by then, and lo and behold she was. Being told I looked like a swallowed bug, I tell her what just went down, and she says to stay close to her in case this mental patient got loose again. For about 10 minutes it was calm, reading birthday cards for my sister, picking out pool toys for the new pool, and just being Karen-free. That bubble popped when I hear a very stern, "You!" I look up and there is an out-of-breath and red Karen staring at me like the last lamb in the slaughterhouse. That demon that popped out before wouldn't want to go back in. Scared as I was by my mom, so instant mama strength gave me the patience to deal with Karen a third time today. What do you want now? I want you to go up there and explain what happened or I'll get you fired. Again with this? The employees here wore forest green shirts and khakis, and I wasn't even being helpful, just coddling a card and some pool noodles. I don't work anywhere in this center or part of town. My boss is right here, pointing to my mom, who nods and points to her company shirt she's wearing. She left me standing in there and... Ready to end this, you followed me into I don't know how many stores and insisted I work there while I'm wearing a shirt with a shark person and a cart full of items. Leave me alone or I'll get security. You embarrassed me, so now I'm embarrassing you in front of your coworkers. Leave me alone. I do not work here. She then picked up some granola bars from the shelf and tossed them at me. She cussed and screamed like a rabid animal as customers seemed to just look. Fun fact about the dollar store is that a security is always by there. Shoplifters are rampant in a store where everything is a buck and under. This big guy comes through and holds her in a bear hug. She's growling and fighting, scratching, and trying to bite before he's able to radio for backup. Minutes pass, and this lady is in cuffs since this shopping center was next to a hospital next to a station. I get to make my statement in front of onlookers, laughing at the obscenities of the whole thing from the sidelines. They ask if I want to press charges, and I say no, simply because she keeps screaming she's from somewhere out in the East Coast, and I'm not going to love going to court with this dream. She ended up getting taken away anyway for calling the police officer a moron and kicking the seat as he was about uncuffing her. She cried as he shut the door and said the one-liner to rule them all, "Will you let me go when I take my meds?" I hope she never visits again. I hate tourists. I've got to say that even when I worked in a grocery store, there were times that I wanted to tell customers that I didn't work there, just because of the looks on their face and how much of a hassle I knew they were going to be. I want to say a quick thank you to the OPs of both of these stories for giving me permission to narrate them and post them up on YouTube. You can visit both of their stories and both of their profiles by going to the links in the description below. Please give them an upvote on Reddit itself. Once again, this is Rob from Karma, Chameleon saying thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, I ask you to consider subscribing, dropping a like, and sharing it with your friends, and we'll see you in the next one.